they're playing really well, and you know, obviously at Oklahoma is a very tough place to play, and then you know, losing to Kansas by 1, I thought their defense was great that game. Had a chance at a tip-in to win that one, just didn't fall for them. And then going on the road and grinding out a win against TCU, who obviously is playing very good basketball early in this portion of the year. So I guess what do they do? It's another very unique game because they play a defense that nobody else in the country plays that can't be simulated. You know, I guess the fortunate thing is we played them 3 times last year, and several guys that are back played against it. Now, that being said, we didn't handle it very well down there, and if you remember in the Big 12 championship game, we started out 1 for 18. So we're obviously going to have to get off to a better start and try to get the ball on spots on the floor where hopefully we can take advantage. Cherry's playing very well. Prince is shooting the heck out of it, almost 50% from 3. Motley has been great for him. You know, on the low block, Gathers is averaging almost 8 rebounds, offensive rebounds a game in conference play. So they're playing very good. You know, it's just about these next couple days putting something in place. You know, hopefully we can play well against that zone and slow them down on the defensive end. I think it is because, again, usually when you play a zone, you know, it's more of a 2-3 look. With Baylor's zone, it's just different, and it's hard to get your guys, okay, this is exactly how Baylor plays it, because it's hard to do because you never work on it. You know, we'll try to simulate it as best we can. But again, there's going to be some adjustment. You know, even last year at our game at home, first half we struggled a little bit, then second half we finally got it going and found some areas where we can get it in a game. But sometimes it takes that game experience to figure out exactly where you need to get the ball. You look at their numbers. I mean, they hold their, you know, a lot of zones you get open shots. You don't get a lot of open shots against their zone. They do a great job at taking it away, and they take away the middle, which is where a lot of zones you can attack. You know, I think their teams are shooting 27% from the 3-point line against them, which is the best in the Big 12 conference. So, you know, Scott does a great job of getting those guys to make you play different than you normally do. Well, I think sometimes when you're struggling as a shooter, it's sometimes easier to go out on the road. You don't hear the groans from the crowd when you miss a shot. You know, I certainly found it that way, that it was always good to go out and find your game on the road because you play, I guess, with a little less pressure on yourself. But I'll say this, Abdul had 2 really good days leading into that game at West Virginia. He shot the heck out of it in practice. Hopefully he can carry that over into this game at Baylor. I mean, he was the key. You know, when Monte and George both had their foul trouble, I thought Abdul handled West Virginia's press really as well as anybody on our roster, and then obviously took advantage on the backside of the press when we did get by that first line. You know, he's an extremely talented kid. He can do a lot of things out there. He's got great length. I thought he rebounded well when we needed him to get some big ones out there. You know, Jamil was hurting a little bit with his back. You know, and Abdul gave us some very quality minutes. And was a player of the game. And same thing at Iowa. You know, he was able to hit some shots that game as well. You know, now it's about the consistency of it and doing it every time he takes the floor. I think one thing is just getting you know, getting 5 guys on the floor, you know, playing their best. And I don't know if we have done that yet. You know, we've had 3 on a lot of nights play well. We've had 5 earlier in the season maybe playing well. You know, now it's about, in this conference play, you know, getting 5 guys out there gelling together. You know, but again, some of that is with adding Jamil now. The roles are a little bit different than they were earlier in the year. You know, it's about developing, you know, that chemistry out there to where it doesn't matter who's on the floor, but we can get some momentum going and get a streak going. This team's certainly capable of a lot of things, you know, but it's about going out there and playing as a unit, which we've done a lot of really good times this year. I think we've done that very well, but sometimes we struggled with it. You know, now it's about finding that consistency. You know, Abdul, shoot, he didn't play in the second half against Oklahoma State, and then he goes out, and, you know, I had to have him out there in the second half against West Virginia. So it's still trying to figure out, you know, the 5 that I have to have out there in crunch time. I don't know if that'll ever happen with this group, to be honest with you, but you know, that's something that we're continuing to try to find, and, you know, you do it in the practice court. Again, I think our practices that we had leading into that West Virginia game were really good, really competitive, and that helped us carry over. I mean, Deontay Burton was an absolute beast in practice 2 days before that game, and that helped us prepare. You know, he was beating guys up out there, and that's good. It's good to have a guy like that in your scout team. we'll see how it plays out. But you know, I thought he was terrific last game as far as protecting the rim. I mean, he had 5 block shots in about 20 minutes of play. And again, he probably would have played a little more, but his back was really an issue the other night. You know, trying to keep it loose. You know, again, I said this after the game. I thought about not playing him in the second half just because he was really hurting. But he's been getting treatments. He came in on our day off yesterday. He feels a lot better today. You know, probably get at least 2 treatments today, 2 more tomorrow. Get a treatment when we get to Baylor, you know, to get that thing loosened up. But, you know, again, those minutes now when you're out there playing an actual game compared to playing, you know, really on the scout team for the first couple months of the season, it's so much different, the intensity level. And again, you're playing against grown men in this league right now, and it's not going to slow up. There's no real light at the end of the tunnel to say, okay, this is going to be an easy game. I mean, the rest of our schedule out with our league and then hopefully postseason play, you know, it's going to be a grind. But, yeah, we're going to Jamil just gives us that element that we haven't ever had here before. I mean, when you get 5 block shots, and again, to have him in the middle of that zone, they beat our guards a few times, and he can erase a mistake. We haven't had that in the past. Last game, it was all about I thought it was a toughness game, and you know, the fighting through adversity was great. That's a great sign. You know, Monte and George both had 4 fouls with almost 9 minutes to go, and I think we turned it over, shoot 4 straight times. You know, we got George back in there. He was able to play the remaining time with 4 fouls, which, you know, he wouldn't have done that last year, maybe because he wasn't in good enough shape, or you know, maybe just with fatigue. You commit a stupid foul. You know, then we get Monte back in there, and unfortunately he picked up his 5th a short time after. But, you know, I think the zone was something that helped us with that, to keep our out of, because they were really going to their big guy, to Williams, you know, and they were calling the fouls, and I thought they were fouls. I thought they did a good job calling those. But you just mentally finding a way to get through that on the road is huge. It's a huge step in the right direction for us, because if you can go out and find a way to win on the road through adversity, that certainly will give you confidence down the road.